The Israeli military has expanded its evacuation orders in southern Gaza. It told civilians in Khan Younis to urgently leave the centre of the city. Military officials claim the city is the main stronghold of Hamas. Both Israel and Hamas, which is considered a terrorist organisation by numerous countries, have also reported a surge in fighting in northern Gaza. All this as Palestinian civilians search for safety.
Destruction as far as the eye can see. This is what Gaza City looks like 2 months into Israel's military campaign. An Israeli flag raised in the middle of the city's symbolic Palestine Square. Similar scenes of devastation further north in Jabalia. The survivors are seeking safety in other parts of the Strip.
I was in Ukraine when families just like these were forced to flee and the world opened its heart to them. I do not understand now why the world has closed its eyes.
The Israeli army says it is engaged in street combat in Jabalia. They released this footage claiming to show a raid where they killed 2 militants. The fierce fighting has displaced thousands of Palestinians. Like this family at a camp in central Gaza, living under squalid conditions.
What do you want? What do you want to happen to us? Massacres? There were massacres. What do you want? More massacres? Our children are hungry, the water is bad, the bathrooms are bad. There is no life in Gaza. We don't have food, no safe areas, no place to keep my children safe. Life is tragic.
A vast majority of Gazans have been displaced by the war. Hospitals are overrun. Access to aid is limited. And the UN warns society is on the verge of collapse.
Our correspondent Tania Krämer is standing by for us in Jerusalem. What more can you tell us about the fighting, Tania?
Well, as we've seen in the report, there's heavy fighting reported in the north of Gaza, but also in the south. In the north, it's mainly, as we understand here, in the Jabalia area and also in Jajair, which is an eastern neighborhood of Gaza City. In the south, it's concentrating very much on Khan Younis in the past days, but also there have been airstrikes reported in the central areas there. We also heard last night on Saturday from the Israel's National Security Advisor that despite the pressure to do more for the protection of civilians and also eventually ending the war, Israel doesn't see the end of a war anytime soon, that they will continue, as he said, pressuring on Hamas because they want to continue to go after Hamas and eliminating them.
Where do Palestinians now have to flee to?
Well, we also heard that in the report, and that's what people tell me also when I talk to them on the phone for the past weeks. They are simply saying there is no safe area in Gaza to go to. Many of them have been displaced many times. They have been moving first in the first weeks of the war from the north to the south. Now many have been seeking refuge or shelter in Khan Younis. They have been again told in the past days to move from certain areas in Khan Younis further south towards Rafah on the Egyptian border, but also towards the west. There's a safer zone in Mawasi, but it's a very limited stretch of land near the shores of Gaza where people say there's no infrastructure. People, they're living sometimes with relatives if they're very lucky to move in with them, but some of them are now in the streets. Many are now moving towards Rafah, and then people there are also saying, what happens if Israel expanding its ground offensive even further south? And also we are hearing from humanitarian organizations that they have difficulties, mainly from the United Nations, now to distribute aid because of the heavy fighting going on in the south as well. They're mainly distributing now around Rafah, but they cannot reach the people they need to reach in other areas.
The latest there from DW's Tania Krämer. Thank you very much, Tania.